Hello and welcome back to this playthrough for Khare City Porter Traps. Welcome to part 11. In our last video we got the legendary sword, defeated the bronze statue, and hopefully you're filthy rich from all your games of swindlestones. It's now time for us to carry on. Go to the cash out flag and then click continue. And go to the flag, return to the statue. Select make a move, continue, and go to the flag, back to the square. Select leave the square, continue, and go to the flag and alley towards the south. Now this bit is optional, but I recommend you do it because it's quite funny. You'll see a man standing outside his house trying to get through his window with a grappling hook. I'd recommend to pause the video here, select the option watch him, and go through all the kind responses until eventually you'll see the response help him with the grapple. Once you get to the continue screen, resume the video. Once you finish the story, select continue. And remember, never marry an elven. Go to the flag along the alley. You carry on down the alley and you'll pass a particularly grand house. Its doors locked with a heavy iron chain. Select look at the house. What's more important is that there's a ringing noise from down the alley. A hooded creature with a bell around his neck is approaching in shuffling steps. Select look at the creature. A long black robe conceals what manner of creature it is, but it walks slowly, as though in great pain. Around its neck is a bell, ringing with every step. Select the option Greeted. Greetings, stranger, you call. The creature with the bell does not look up, but continues its shuffling approach. Now that the creature is close, you can hear its sighing, painful breath. You think for a moment. It's hooded, it has a bell to warn of danger, and it seems to be in great pain. You think to yourself that the creature is ill. Select Cast a Spell. And the spell word to cast is Dock. Select the small d, O, C, and cast. You cast the spell over your potion, creating a strong healing medicine. As the hooded creature passes, you can smell the same terrible stench of death you encountered when you went to the village or a shanty. You step back, not wanting to brush the cloth as the creature passes. Select Throw my potion at the creature. You wait for the creature in the robe to come close, and then you toss the potion at the space under its hood. It wails in alarm, raising clawed hands to its face. A moment later, it falls completely still. Its hands are feeling over its face. Then it pulls down its hood, revealing a young woman. You just catch a sight of a deep, dark boil melting away from her skin. Good stranger, she murmurs, what have you done? Select Cured you, but of what? The woman laughs, shocked and surprised. I have been suffering most dreadfully. I did not think I'd be long for this world. But now, I feel quite myself. I'd almost forgotten how it feels to be well. Select I am glad. She nods at you. I am more than glad. My heart bursts. She smiles at you. I will return to my village. My mother will be so pleased. She blamed herself when I fell ill. It is a miracle. Select how will you return? And you also explain it is dangerous to travel alone and unarmed. The woman shakes her head. I did not find it dangerous, not with this. She lifts the bell around her neck and gives it a quick tinkle. I will simply walk back. My curse will be my savior. Select, you should burn that cloak. And then you continue, cloth can carry disease. She looks uncomfortable, but I have no other, and then she looks about in distraction. Then her eyes settle on something up the road. Ah, I think I see a solution. It has been washing day recently, and she laughs, suddenly so confident compared to the shuffling creature you saw at first. She takes a step away. I should be moving on, she says. I have a long way to go. Select, let me ask you about the city port. Of course, she replies, though I do not know what I can tell you. I have seen so little of Khare since I arrived. Once they saw I was ill, they dumped me quickly out here in the wastes. Select, I am looking for a beggar who lives out here. Is there such a creature in these wastes? And then she nods. There is indeed. He lives in the ruins of the old church. I believe he was someone important. Sometimes when I was lonely, I stayed with him, keeping quiet so he would not know I was there. I have heard him murmuring in his sleep. Select, what does he say? He murmurs a phrase to himself, but I do not understand it. A curse of some kind, and she shakes her head, but I have forgotten it. She looks back over her shoulder at the falling sun. I must be going, stranger. On impulse, she leans up and kisses you quickly on the cheek, then dashes away up the street. At the last moment, she turns to you and calls, If you go into the fallen quarter, mind you avoid the mill wheel. And then she is gone. Your attention returns to the house, but you are a little bit cautious because the S could stand for Sansas. Select Cast a Spell. And the spell will cast as the Sus spell. Select S, U, S, and cast. You cast a spell, and a calm voice enters your mind. It tells you that the house before you is empty of anything important, even of ghosts, and then the voice fades away. It's time for us to carry on. Select Hurry Onwards, and continue. Select the flag, follow the road. The buildings are thinning out. Through a gap between roofs you can make out a tall, crooked steeple some way away, like a finger pointing towards the heavens. A dark shape sits on its very tip. Select Look at the shape. As you watch, the shape seems to grow wide and then flatten once more, as though it had opened and closed. A bird, perhaps? Or simply a flag draping downwards in the still air. Select Continue, and go to the flag into the wasteland. You emerge from the alley into a wide area of wasteland. This was once a busy city district, but now it looks as though a hurricane has leveled it. A few staircases lead to nowhere, and in some places a door still stands. Plants grow from every crevice and crack as though someone had poured green paint over the whole scene. Perhaps somewhere here you'll find Tita, the beggar who used to be a noble. Select Follow the Road. The road, such as it is quickly smothered by piles of wreckage. There are lots of other ways to pick your way through. One possible route leads up and over the side of a broken house. Another passes what might have been a mill. You'd have to climb over the mill wheel to continue this way, but you remember what the lady said, so we're going to avoid it at all costs. Select Climb the broken house. You climb the fallen rubble to the roof of the building, and from here you get a clear view across the rest of the wasteland. It stretches for a mile or two and will take about an hour to cross on foot. At the far end is a tall iron fence thick with ivy slices across the land, perhaps to keep the people from the wasteland out, or to keep whatever's beyond the fence in. In the distance, you see dark shapes moving across the sky. Select Climb down the other side of the house. Continue, and go to the flag right. As you carry down the path, you're going to come across a building that is still standing. Its door is closed, and its stone wall seems completely intact. Feel free to have a look at this section. Inside is basically a bunch of things that have been turned to stone, including people. When you're ready, carry on to the flag through the wasteland. The path turns around a large stone fountain, which has toppled over to one side, revealing an empty well shaft leading down into the earth. Select Drop a coin into the well. Wishing to the gorilla for good fortune, or whatever spirit guide you have, you toss a coin down the well. It plunges into the darkness. Then, with a thunk, it hits something, barely a foot or two down. By the sound it made, a wooden board? Select Look into the well. You peer over the edge of the well and look down into the darkness. There seems to be some kind of wooden ledge built across halfway through the shaft, a short way down. Your gold piece is still sitting on the ledge. Beyond the ledge, the well continues into further darkness. Select Clamber down into the ledge. Select Continue, and go to the flag into the well. You land on a wooden platform next to your gold piece. Select Take the coin, and then select Drop down the rope ladder. Select Climb down the rope ladder, and continue, and go to the flag in the well. Around you, the well shaft is pitch black. Select Fill the walls, and then select this option, Cast a spell. The spell we're going to cast is Sun. Select S, U, N, and cast. You cast a spell over your sun jewel, with pulses 2 and 3 times, and then it ignites with a sudden brilliant inner flame. Select Make a move. Continue, and go to the flag, enter the tunnel. Continue again, and go to the flag, ladder top. Select Make a move. Continue, and go to the flag, climb down. Halfway down, in a pool of light with darkness on all sides, you feel like you could be hanging in the blackness of the night sky. And that's when you hear an approaching cry. Move faster, it screeches. It is a goblin's voice. Select Climb down carefully. Select Continue, and go to the flag, the ladder's foot. You're now standing in a sewer tunnel, filled knee-deep with slow-flowing, stench-filled water. In one direction, you see a distant light, which of course means that whoever is there can see you too. Select Cover my light. You bury the jewel in your pack. A little light leaks through the fibers, but only a little. Inky darkness swallows you whole. Ice-cold water drips from the ceiling and runs down your neck. Select Make a move. Continue, and select the option Hide. You duck into an enclave in the wall of the tunnel. In the distance you hear the marching feet coming closer. You wait, and within a moment the tunnel is filled with goblins. There are not one or two, but a whole army, led by a tall, stocky elder goblin, and chanting a weird gruttal song. Select Stay Low. They march straight up to where you are crouching in the dark. 100, maybe 200 of the creatures. But what are they doing here beneath Khare, inside the city walls? Select Wait. You wait in tense silence. At the rear are 2 goblin generals. How many more soldiers does the Mad King want? The first asks the second as they pass your position. Thousands, the second replies, and then spits. But he'll get what he gets. That he will, the first agrees, testing his blade on his thumb. The 2 walk on, still talking and muttering voices. Select, make a move, and select Continue. Go to the flag, follow the goblins. You trail along behind the goblins like a shadow. The Balkan tribes are ready. The first goblin hisses. The second goblin makes a chittering noise, something close to a laugh. Ready to run through the city, like a river of molten steel at a word from the king. A few words, the first goblin replies, but I have learned a few myself. Ear, one hisses, stopping suddenly and cocking his ear. What was that? Select Continue, and go to the flag, Keep Up. I heard nothing, the other replies. You hurry to keep pace, just behind them in the dark. Select Continue, and go to the flag further on. You know one of the lines? One goblin is quizzing the other. The goblin spits in agreement. I overheard the Mad King whisper it to himself. His voice drops for a moment, and you only hear the second half of what he says. And Fergus pride. The tunnel turns a corner. Something glints from the side of the sewer. Select Look at it. You stop to look at it, losing sight of the goblins once more. It is a vial of potion. Select Sniff it. And you uncork it. It's Blimberry. Select Stash it. The goblins disappear around a corner of the sewer. Select Continue, and go to the flag, Keep Going. If the king knew you even knew that much, tell him and I'll cut your throat, the other goblin hisses back. The first goblin sniggers. Stay quiet, and maybe we'll get to cut his. Just then, you see more lights up ahead. It seems the sewer is opening out into a wider space. Select Continue, and go to the flag, The Opening. Peering through, you see a huge chamber, like an underground cathedral. Water pours in through narrow channels and opening high in the walls, and several wooden ladders disappear upwards. But your eyes are taken by the center of the room. It is filled with goblins, like a ship's hold filled with rats. They swarm around one another, clashing swords and baring teeth. In the middle of all of them, on an improvised throne, sits a man, hunched low. He wears a metal circlet on his head. Select Continue, and go to the flag, slip inside. You slip into the hall. It is warm with the fetid breath of 1,000 creatures who drink and laugh and clash swords down in the muck. On his throne, the king seems to be sleeping, or else they would have killed him by accident. He is a man, not a goblin. How does he control this rabble? Select Look at the man. The man is thin, as though he's not eaten in months, and he's pale, as if he's been down here in the dark just as long. His hair is long and grey, and he slumps over the side of his throne, as though he's desperately ill. His clothes are long soiled robes that were perhaps once quite fine. On his head, he wears a grey circlet of dull silver metal you cannot quite place. The king coughs suddenly. The effect is bizarre. At the noise, every goblin in the great chamber freezes and looks up. Select look at his face. You peer through the gloom, through the grime and the dirt and the thickness of his beard, trying to see his face. There is something familiar about it. You've seen it somewhere before. You check your pictures of the nobles of the city. It is difficult to be sure. So much time has passed since the artist sketched Sansas as a young man, but the likeness of his eyes, the crooked nose, the deep forehead, all seem to be close to coincidence. Could this mad goblin king really be the first noble of the city of Khare? The king pushes on his arm, attempting to stand, then shivers and falls down. Silence, he whispers. The chamber is suddenly quiet. Select look at the circlet. You shift your position in the darkness to try and get a better view of the king's strange circlet. You cannot place the material. It does not seem to be iron or the steel of a blade, but it's not precious either. Yet the king treats it gingerly, as though it was made of glass. Suddenly you remember what Flanker told you after you spared his life. The goblins were mining in the Shamatanti hills for the metal used to make the crown of kings. A metal for a crown of leadership. What if they found it? What if the power of the crown is what is holding this group of goblins under thrall? The king fingers the circlet on his head, as if scared it will slip. My creatures, he whispers, the time is almost upon us. As the night draws in, we will rise up and open the gates. We will rub this filthy city clean. He has broken off into a fit of coughing. Select, wait and listen. The long journey is nearly over, declares the king, raving with madness. The process I began when I blinded Lord Teeter and left him a beggar. Finally the council will be destroyed and the city will be cleansed. Select look at the goblins. The goblin horde are all frozen to attention, every face towards their king in a strange rapture. A goblin close by your elbow murmurs, "How much longer do we have to listen to this?" His companion silences him with a talon to the arm. Strange. If the circlet has the power of the crown, such rebellion should be impossible. Select, wait and listen. King finally gets to his feet and raises a wizened arm into the air. "I will open the gates for you tonight," he cries, "and we will make the city pure." The king raises a cheer, and the goblins as one cheer back, throwing their swords up in the air. 1,000 blades flash, and the confusion where they land is extreme. Every goblin is cowering for cover, and then squabbling to retrieve their blade. It's time for us to leave while the hall is still in chaos. Select make a move, and select continue. Select return to the sewer. Continue again, and go to the flag, keep going. Continue again. Go to the flag, follow the sewer. Continue again. Go to the flag, the sewer. Continue. Go to the flag, climb up. Continue. And you blink in the sudden sunlight. It is approaching late afternoon. You follow the path around the edge of the wasteland. Click continue, and go to the flag, edge of the wasteland. And that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you all next time.